Juliet? Ella. Stop! Stop it! Oh my God, that's disgusting! Emmeline cries. Stop it! Stop touching each other! You guys are so gross! Dad pinches Mom's butt right in front of us. Emmeline screams, Oh my God, I said stop! It's Saturday morning, and Saturday morning is when we make pancakes, but Mom and Dad don't really get around to cooking anything because they won't stop kissing each other. Emmeline hates it. I think it's nice. I sit at the counter and prop my face in my hands, watching. I prefer watching. Emmeline keeps trying to make me work, but I don't want to. I like sitting better than working. No one is making pancakes, Emmeline cries, and she spins around so angrily she knocks a bowl of batter to the ground. Why am I doing all the work? Dad laughs. Sweetheart, we're all together, he says, scooping up the fallen bowl. He grabs a bunch of paper towels and says, Isn't that more important than pancakes? No, Emmeline says angrily. We're supposed to make pancakes. It's Saturday, which means we're supposed to make pancakes, and you and Mom are kissing, and Ella is being lazy. Hey, I say, and stand up. And no one is doing what they're supposed to be doing, and instead I'm doing it all by myself. Mom and Dad are laughing now. It's not funny, Emmeline cries, and now she's shouting, tears streaking down her face. It's not funny, and I don't like it when no one listens to me, and I don't... 2 weeks ago, I was lying on an operating table, limp, naked, and leaking blood through an aperture in my temple the size of a gunshot wound. My vision was blurred. I couldn't hear much more than the sound of my own breathing, hot and heavy and everywhere, building in and around me. Suddenly Evie came into view. She was staring at me. She seemed frustrated. She'd been trying to complete the process of physical recalibration, as she called it. For some reason, she couldn't finish the job. She'd already emptied the contents of 16 syringes into my brain, and she'd made several small incisions in my abdomen, my arms, and my thighs. I couldn't see exactly what she did next, but she spoke occasionally as she worked, and she claimed that the simple surgical procedures she'd been performing would strengthen my joints and reinforce my muscles. She wanted me to be stronger, to be more resilient on a cellular level. It was a preventative measure, she said. She was worried my build was too slight, that my muscles might degenerate prematurely in the face of intense physical challenges. She didn't say it, but I felt it. She wanted me to be stronger than my sister. Emmeline, I whispered. It was lucky that I was too exhausted, too broken, too sedated to speak clearly. It was lucky that I only lay there, eyes fluttering open and closed, my chapped lips making it impossible to do more than mutter the name. It was lucky that I couldn't understand right away that I was still me, that I still remembered everything despite Evie's promises to dissolve what was left of my mind. Still, I'd said the wrong thing. Evie stopped what she was doing. She leaned over my face and studied me, nose to nose. I blinked. Don't. The words appeared in my head as if they'd been planted there long ago, like I was remembering. Evie jerked backward and immediately started speaking into a device clenched in her fist. Her voice was low and rough, and I couldn't make out what she was saying. I blinked again, confused. I parted my lips to say something when... Don't. The thought came through more sharply this time. A moment later, Evie was in my face again, this time drilling me with questions. Who are you? Where are you? What is your name? Where were you born? How old are you? Who are your parents? Where do you live? I was suddenly aware enough to understand that Evie was checking her work. She wanted to make sure my brain had been wiped clean. I wasn't sure what I was supposed to say or do, so I said nothing. Instead, I blinked blinked a lot. Evie finally, reluctantly stepped away, but she didn't seem entirely convinced of my stupidity. And then, when I thought she might murder me just to be safe, she stopped, stared at the wall, and then she left. I was trembling on the operating table for 20 minutes before the room was swarmed by a team of people. They unstrapped my body, washed and wrapped my open wounds. I think I was screaming. Eventually, the combination of pain, exhaustion, and the slow drip of opiates caught up with me, and I passed out. I never understood what happened that day. I couldn't ask, Evie never explained, and the strange, sharp voice in my head never returned. But then Evie sedated me so much in my first weeks on this compound. It's possible there was never even a chance. Today, for the first time since that day, I hear it again. I'm standing in the middle of my room, this gauzy yellow dress still bunched in my arms, when the noise assaults me. It knocks the wind out of me. Ella. I spin around, my breaths coming in fast. The voice is louder than it's ever been, frightening in its intensity. Maybe I was wrong about Evie's experiment. Maybe this is part of it. Maybe hallucinating and hearing voices is a precursor to oblivion? No. Who are you? I say, the dress dropping to the floor. It occurs to me as if from a distance that I'm standing in my underwear, screaming at an empty room, and a violent shudder goes through my body. Roughly, I yank the yellow dress over my head, its light breezy layers like silk against my skin. In a different lifetime, I would have loved this dress. It's both beautiful and comfortable, the perfect sartorial combination. But there's no time for that kind of frivolity anymore. Today, this dress is just a part of the role I must play. The voice in my head has gone quiet, but my heart is still racing. I feel propelled into motion by instinct alone, and quickly, I slip into a pair of simple white tennis shoes, tying the laces tightly. I don't know why, but today, right now, for some reason, I feel like I might need to run. Yes. My spine straightens. Adrenaline courses through my veins and my muscles feel tight, burning with an intensity that feels brand new to me. It's the first time I felt any positive effects of Evie's procedures. The strength feels like it's been gifted to my bones, like I could launch myself into the air, like I could scale a wall with one hand. I've known super strength before, but that strength always felt like it was coming from elsewhere, like it was something I had to harness and release. Without my supernatural abilities, when I turned off my powers, I was left with an unimpressive, flimsy body. I'd been undernourished for years, forced to endure extreme physical and mental conditions, and my body suffered for it. I'd only begun to learn proper forms of exercise and conditioning in the last couple of months, and while the progress I made was helpful, it was only the first step in the right direction. But this, whatever Evie did to me, this is different. 2 weeks ago I was in so much pain I could hardly move. The next morning, when I could finally stand on my own, I saw no discernible difference in my body except that I was 7 shades of purple from top to bottom. Everything was bruised. I was walking agony. Evie told me as my doctor that she kept me sedated so that I'd be forced to remain still in order to heal more quickly, but I had no reason to believe her. I still don't. But this is the first time in 2 weeks that I feel almost normal. The bruises have nearly faded. Only the incision sites, the most painful entry points, still look a little yellow. Not bad. I flex my fists and feel powerful, truly powerful even with the glowing manacles clamped around my wrists and ankles. I've desperately missed my powers, missed them more than I ever thought I could miss something. I'd spent so many years hating about myself, but for the first time in weeks I feel strong. I know Evie did this to me, did this to my muscles, but I know I should distrust it. But it feels so good to feel good that I almost can't help but revel in it. And right now I feel like I could run. I go still. Run! What? I whisper, turning to scan the walls, the ceiling. Run where? Out. The word thunders through me, reverberates along my ribcage. Out, as if it were that simple, as if I could turn the doorknob and be rid of this nightmare. If it were that easy to leave this room, I would have done it already. But Evie reinforces the locks on my doors with multiple layers of security. I only saw the mechanics of it once, when she returned me to my room after allowing me to look outside for a few minutes. In addition to the discrete cameras and retina displays, there's a biometric scanner that reads Evie's fingerprints to allow her access to the room. I've spent hours trying to get my bedroom door open, to no avail. Out. Again, that word, loud and harsh inside my head. There's something terrifying about the hope that snakes through me at the thought of escape. It clings and tugs and tempts me to be crazy enough to listen to the absurd hallucinations attacking my mind. This could be a trap, I think. This could all be Evie's doing. I could be playing directly into her hand. Still, I can't help myself. I cross the room at a few quick strides. I hesitate, my hand hovering over the handle, and with a final exhalation, I give in. The door swings open easily. I stand in the open doorway, my heart racing harder. A heady rush of feeling surges through me, and I look around desperately, studying the many hallways stretching out before me. This seems impossible. I have no idea where to go. No idea if I'm crazy for listening to a manipulative voice in my head after my psychotic mother spent months injecting things into my mind. It's only when I remember that I first heard this voice the night I arrived, just moments before Evie began torturing me, that I begin to doubt my doubt. Dying. That was what the voice said to me the first night. Dying. I was lying on an operating table, unable to move or speak. I could only shoot inside my head, and I wanted to know where Emmeline was. I tried to scream it. Dying, the voice had said. A cold, paralyzing fear fills my blood. Emmeline? I whisper. Is that you? Help. I take a certain step forward. Warner. I'm a little early, he says. I know your birthday is tomorrow, but I just couldn't wait any longer. I stare at my father as though he might be a ghost. Worse, a poltergeist. I can't bring myself to speak, and for some reason he doesn't seem to mind my silence. Then, he smiles. It's a true smile, one that softens his features and brightens his eyes. We're in something that looks like a sitting room, a bright open space with plush couches, chairs, a round table, and a small writing desk in the corner. There's a thick carpet underfoot. The walls are a pleasant, pale yellow, sun pouring in through large windows. My father's figure is backlit. He looks ethereal, glowing like he might be an angel. This world has a sick sense of humor. He tossed me a robe when he walked into my cell, but hasn't offered me anything else. I haven't been given a chance to change. I haven't been offered food or water. I feel underdressed, vulnerable sitting across from him in nothing but cold underwear and a thin robe. I don't even have socks, slippers, something. And I can only imagine what I must look like right now, considering it's been a couple of weeks since I've had a shave or a haircut. I managed to keep myself clean in prison, but my hair is a bit longer now. Not like it used to be, but it's getting there, and my face. I touch my face almost without thinking. Touching my face has become a bit of a habit these last couple of weeks. I have a beard. It's not much of a beard, but it's enough to surprise me every time. I have no idea how I must look right now. Untamed, perhaps. Finally, I say, "You're supposed to be dead." "Surprise," he says, and smiles. I only stare at him. My father leans against the table and stuffs his hands into his pants pockets in a way that makes him look boyish, charming. It makes me feel ill. I look away, scanning the room for help. Details. Something to root me. Something to explain him. Something to arm me against what might be coming. I come up short. He laughs. You know, you could stand to show a bit more emotion. I actually thought you might be happy to see me. That gets my attention. You thought wrong, I say. I was happy to hear you were dead. Are you sure? He tilts his head. You're sure you didn't shed a single tear for me? Didn't miss me even the tiniest bit? All it takes is a moment of hesitation, the half-sense delay in which I remember the weeks I spent caught in a prison of half-grief, hating myself for mourning him, and hating that I ever cared at all. I open my mouth to speak, and he cuts me off, his smile triumphant. I know this must be a bit unsettling, and I know you're going to pretend you don't care, but we both know that your bleeding heart has always been the source of all our problems. There's no point to try to deny that now. So I'll be generous and offer to overlook your treasonous behavior. My spine stiffens. You didn't think I'd just forget, did you? My father is no longer smiling. You try to overthrow me, my government, my continent, and then you stand aside like a perfect, pathetic piece of garbage as your girlfriend attempts to murder me, and you thought I'd never mention it. I can't look at him anymore. I can't stand the sight of his face, so like my own. His skin is still perfect, unscarred, as if he'd never been injured, never taken a bullet to the forehead. I don't understand it. No, you still won't be inspired to respond, he says. In that case, you might be smarter than I gave you credit for. There. That feels more like him. But the fact remains that we're in an important crossroads right now. I had to call in a number of favors to have you transported here unharmed. The council was going to vote to have you executed for treason, and I was able to convince them otherwise. Why would you even bother? His eyes narrow as he appraises me. I save your life, he says, and this is your reaction. Insolence, ingratitude. This, I say sharply, is your idea of saving my life? Throwing me in prison and having me poisoned to death? That should have been a picnic. His gaze grows cold. You really would be better off dead if those circumstances were enough to break you. I say nothing. Besides, we had to punish you somehow. Your actions couldn't go unchecked. My father looks away. We've had a lot of messes to clean up, he says finally. Where do you think I've been all this time? As I said, I thought you were dead. Close, but not quite. Actually, he says, taking a breath. I spent a great deal of time convalescing here. I was airlifted back here where the Somerses have been reviving me. He pulls up the hem of his pants, and I glimpse the silver gleam of metal where his ankle should be. I've got new feet, he says, and laughs. Can you believe it? I can't. I can't believe it. I'm stunned. He smiles, obviously satisfied with my reaction. We let you and your friends think you'd had a victory just long enough to give me time to recover. We sent the rest of the kids down to distract you, to make it seem like the reestablishment might actually accept its new, self-appointed commander. He shakes his head. A 17-year-old child declaring herself the ruler of North America, he says, almost to himself. And then, looking up, that girl really was a piece of work, wasn't she? Panic gathers in my chest. What did you do to her? Where is she? No. My father's smile disappears. Absolutely not. What does that mean? It means absolutely not. That girl is done. She's gone. No more afternoon specials with your buddies from Omega Point. No more running around naked with your little girlfriend. No more sex in the afternoon when you should be working. I feel both ill and enraged. Don't you dare. Don't ever talk about her like that. You have no right. He sighs, long and loud, mutters something foul. When are you going to stop this? When will you grow out of this? It takes everything I've got to bite back my anger, to sit here calmly and say nothing. Somehow my silence makes things worse. Damn it, Aaron, he says, getting to his feet. I keep waiting for you to move on, to get over her, to evolve, he says, practically shouting at me now. It's been over a decade of the same bullshit. Over a decade. A slip. What do you mean? I say, studying him carefully. Over a decade. I'm exaggerating, he says, biting off the words. Exaggerating to make a point. Liar. For the first time, something uncertain flashes through my father's eyes. Will you admit it? I say quietly. Will you admit to me what I already know? He sets his jaw, says nothing. Admit it, I say. Juliet was an alias. Juliet Ferrars is actually Ella Sommers, the daughter of Evie and Maximilian How? My father catches himself. He looks away and then, too soon, he looks back. He seems to be deciding something. Finally, slowly, he nods. You know what? It's better this way. Better for you to know, he says quietly. Better for you to understand exactly why you're never going to see her again. That's not up to you. Not up to me. Rage flashes in and out of his eyes, his cool mask quickly crumbling. That girl has been the bane of my existence for 12 years, he says. She's caused me more problems than you can even begin to understand, not the least of which can be to distract my idiot son for the better part of the last decade. Despite my every effort to break you apart, to remove this cancer from our lives, you've insisted over and over again on falling in love with her. He looks me in the eye, his own eyes wild with fury. She was never meant for you. She was never meant for any of this. That girl was sentenced to death, he says viciously, the moment I named her Juliet. My heart is beating so hard it feels as though I'm dreaming. This must be a nightmare. I have to force myself to speak, to say, What are you talking about? My father's mouth twists into the imitation of a smile. Ella, he says, was designed to become a tool for war. She and her sister both, right from the beginning. Decades before we took over, sicknesses were beginning to ravage the population. The government was trying to bury the information, but we knew. I saw the classified files. I tracked down one of the secret bunkers. People were malfunctioning, metamorphosing. So much so that it felt almost like the next phase of evolution. Only Evie had the presence of mind to see the sickness as a tool. She was the one who first began studying the unnaturals. She was the reason we created the asylums. She wanted access to more varieties of the illness. And she was the one who learned how to isolate and reproduce the alien DNA. It was her idea to use the findings to help our cause. Ella and Emmeline, he says angrily, were only ever meant to be Evie's science experiments. Ella was never meant for you. Never meant for anyone, he shouts. Get her out of your head. I feel frozen as the words settle around me, within me. The revelation isn't entirely new, and yet the pain is fresh. Time seems to slow down, speed up, spin backward. My eyes fall closed. My memories collect and expand, exploding with renewed meaning as they assault me all at once. Ella, through the ages. My childhood friend. Ella ripped away from me when I was 7 years old. Ella and Emmeline, who they'd said drowned in a lake. They told me to forget the girls ever existed, and finally, tired of answering my questions, they told me they'd make things easier for me. I followed my father into a room where he promised he'd explain everything, and then I'm strapped to a chair, my head held in place with heavy metal clamps. Bright lights flash and buzz above me. I hear the monitors chirping, the muffled sounds of voices around me. The room feels large, gleaming. I hear the loud, disconcerting sounds of my own breathing and the hard, heavy beats of my heart. I jump a little at the unwelcome feel of my father's hand on my arm, telling me I'll feel better soon. I look up at him as if emerging from a dream. What is it? He says. What just happened? I part my lips to speak, wonder if it's safe to tell him the truth. I decide I'm tired of the lies. I've been remembering her, I say. My father's face goes unexpectedly blank, and it's the only reaction I need to understand the final, missing piece. You've been stealing my memories, I say to him, my voice unnaturally calm. All these years you've been tampering with my mind. It was you. He says nothing, but I see the tension in his jaw, the sudden jump of a vein under skin. What are you remembering? I shake my head, stunned as I stare at him. I should have known after everything you've done to me. I stop. My vision shifts, unfocused for a moment. Of course you wouldn't let me master my own mind. What exactly are you remembering? He says, hardly able to control the anger in his voice now. What else do you know? At first, I feel nothing. I've trained myself too well. Years of practice have taught me to bury my emotions as a reflex, especially in his presence, and it takes a few seconds for the feelings to emerge. They form slowly, infinite hands reaching up from infinite graves to fan the flames of an ancient rage I've never really allowed myself to touch. You stole my memories of her, I say quietly. Why? Always so focused on the girl. He glares at me. She's not the center of everything, Aaron. I stole your memories of lots of things. I'm shaking my head. I get to my feet slowly at once, out of my mind and perfectly calm, and I worry for a moment that I might actually expire from the full force of everything I feel from him. Hatred so deep it might boil me alive. Why would you do something like this except to torture me? You knew how I felt about her. You did it on purpose, pushing us together and pulling us apart. I stop suddenly. Realization dawns bright and piercing, and I look at him, unable to fathom the depth of his cruelty. You put Kent under my command on purpose, I say. My father meets my eyes with a vacant expression. He says nothing. I find it hard to believe you didn't know the whereabouts of your illegitimate children, I say to him. I don't believe for a second that you weren't having Kent's every move monitored. You must have known what he was doing with his life. You must have been notified the moment he enlisted. You could have sent him anywhere. I say. You had the power to do that. Instead, you let him remain in Sector 45 under my jurisdiction. On purpose, didn't you? And when you had De La Luz show me those files, when he came to me, convinced me that Kent would be the perfect cellmate for Juliet because here was proof that he'd known her, that they'd gone to school together. Suddenly, my father smiles. I've always tried to tell you, he says softly. I've tried to tell you to stop letting your emotions rule your mind. Over and over I tried to teach you and you never listened. You never learned. He shakes his head. If you suffer now, it's because you brought it upon yourself. You made yourself an easy target. I'm stunned. Somehow, even after everything, he manages to shock me. I don't understand how you can stand there, defending your actions after you spent 20 years torturing me. I've only ever been trying to teach you a lesson, Aaron. I didn't want you to end up like your mother. She was weak, just like you. I need to kill him. I picture it, what it would be like to pin him to the ground, to stab him repeatedly through the heart, to watch the light go out of his eyes, to feel his body go cold under my hand. I wait for fear, revulsion, regret. They don't come. I have no idea how he survived the last attempt on his life, but I no longer care to know the answer. I want him dead. I want to watch his blood pool in my hands. I want to rip his throat out. I spy a letter opener on the writing desk nearby, and in the single second I take to swipe it, my father laughs. Laughs out loud, doubled over, one hand holding his side. When he looks up, there are actual tears in his eyes. Have you lost your mind? He says. Aaron, don't be ridiculous. I step forward, the letter opener clutched loosely in my fist, and I watch carefully for the moment he understands that I'm going to kill him. I want him to know that it's going to be me. I want him to know that he finally got what he wanted, that he finally broke me. You made a mistake, sparing my life, I say quietly. You made a mistake showing me your face. You made a mistake thinking you could ask me to come back after all you've done. You misunderstand me. He's standing straight again, the laughter gone from his face. I'm not asking you to come back. You don't have a choice. Good. That makes this easier. Aaron. He shakes his head. I'm not unarmed. I'm entirely willing to kill you if you step out of line. And though I can't claim that murdering my son is my favorite way to spend a morning, that doesn't mean I won't do it. So you need to stop and think for a moment before you step forward and commit suicide. I study him. My fingers flex around the weapon in my hand. Tell me where she is, I say, and I'll consider sparing your life. You fool, have you not been listening to me? She's gone. I stiffen. Whatever he means by that, he's not lying. Gone where? Gone, he says angrily. Disappeared. The girl you know no longer exists. He pulls a remote out of his jacket pocket and points it at the wall. An image appears instantly, projected from elsewhere, and the sound that fills my room is so sudden, so jarring and unexpected, it nearly brings me to my knees. It's Ella. She's screaming. Blood drips down her open, screaming mouth, the agonizing sounds punctured only by the heaving sobs that pull ragged, aching breaths from her body. Her eyes are half open, delirious, and I watch as she's unstrapped from a chair and dragged onto a stretcher. Her body spasms, her arms and legs jerking uncontrollably. She's in a white hospital gown, the insubstantial ties coming undone, the thin fabric damp with her own blood. My hands shake uncontrollably as I watch, her head whipping back and forth, her body straining against her restraints. She screams again, and a bolt of pain shoots through me, so excruciating it nearly bends me in half. And then quickly, as if out of nowhere, someone steps forward and stabs a needle in her neck. Ella goes still. Her body is frozen, her face captured in a single moment of agony before the drug kicks in, collapsing her. Her screams dissolve into smaller, steadier whimpers. She cries even as her eyes close. I feel violently ill. My hands are shaking so hard I can no longer form a fist, and I watch, as if from afar, as the letter opener falls to the floor. I hold still, forcing back the urge to vomit, but the action provokes a shudder so disorienting I almost lose my balance. Slowly I turn to face my father, whose eyes are inscrutable. It takes 2 tries before I'm able to form a single, whispered word. What? He shakes his head, the picture of false sympathy. I'm trying to get you to understand. This, he says, nodding at the screen. This is what she's destined for, forever. Stop imagining your life with her. Stop thinking of her as a person. This can't be real, I say, cutting him off. I feel wild, unhinged. Tell me this isn't real. What are you doing to me? Is this? Of course it's real, he says. Juliet is gone. Ella is gone. She's as good as dead. She had her mind wiped weeks ago, but you, he says, you still have a life to live. Are you listening to me? You have to pull yourself together. But I can't hear him over the sound of Ella sobbing. She's still weeping. The sound softer, sadder, more desperate. She looks terrified. Small and helpless as foreign hands bandage the open wounds on her arms, the backs of her legs. I watch as glowing metal cuffs are shackled to her wrists and ankles. She whimpers once more, and I feel insane. I must be. Listening to her scream, watching her fight for her life, watching her choke on her own blood while I stand here, powerless to help her. I'll never be able to forget the sound. No matter what happens, no matter where I run, these screams, her screams, will haunt me forever. You wanted me to watch this? I'm whispering now. I can hardly speak. Why would you want me to watch this? He says something to me, shouts something at me, but I feel suddenly deaf. The sounds of the world seem warped, far away, like my head has been submerged under water. The fire in my brain has been snuffed out, replaced by a sudden, almost calm, a sense of certainty. I know what I need to do now, and I know that there's nothing I won't do to get to her. I feel it. Feel my thin morals dissolving. Feel my flimsy, moth-eaten skin of humanity begin to come apart, and with it, the veil keeping me from complete darkness. There are no lines I won't cross, no illusions of mercy. I wanted to be better for her happiness, for her future. But she's gone. What good is goodness? I take a deep, steadying breath. I feel oddly liberated, no longer shackled by an obligation to decency. And in one simple move, I pick up the letter opener I dropped on the floor. Aaron, he says, a warning in his voice. I don't want to hear you speak, I say. I don't want you to talk to me ever again. I throw the knife, even before the words have left my mouth. It flies hard and fast, and I enjoy the second it sears through the air. I enjoy the way the second expands, exploding in the strangeness of time. It all feels like slow motion. My father's eyes widen in a rare display of unmasked shock, and I smile as the sound of his gasp when the weapon finds its mark. I was aiming for his jugular, and it looks like my aim was true. He chokes, his eyes bulging as his hands move, shakily, to yank the letter opener from its home in his neck. He coughs suddenly, blood spattering everywhere, and with some effort, he's able to pull the thing free. Fresh blood gushes down his shirt, seeps from his mouth. He can't speak. The blade has penetrated his larynx. Instead he gasps, still choking, his mouth opening and closing like a dying fish. He falls to his knees. His hands grasp at air, his veins jumping under his skin, and I step toward him. I watch him as he begs silently for something, and then I pat him down, pocketing the 2 guns I find concealed on his person. "Enjoy hell," I whisper, before walking away. Nothing matters anymore. I have to find her. Juliet, Ella. Left, right, straight, left. The commands keep my feet moving safely down the hall. This compound is vast, enormous. My bedroom was so ordinary that the truth of this facility is jarring. An open framework reveals many dozens of doors, hallways, and staircases intertwining like overpasses and freeways. The ceiling seems miles away, high and arched and intricate. Exposed steel beams meet clean white walkways centered around an open, interior courtyard. I had no idea I was so high up. And somehow, for such a huge building, I haven't yet been spotted. Things are growing more eerie by the minute. I encounter no one as I go. I'm ordered to run, detour, or hide just in time to avoid passerby. It's uncanny. Still, I've been walking around for at least 20 minutes, and I don't seem to be getting any closer to anything. I have no idea where I am in the scheme of things, and there's no windows nearby. The whole facility feels like a gilded prison. A long stretch of silence between myself and my imaginary friend starts making me nervous. I think this voice might be Emmeline's, but she still hasn't confirmed it. And though I want to say something, I feel silly speaking out loud. So I speak only inside my mind when I say, "Emmeline, are you there?" No response. My nervousness reaches its peak, and I stop walking. "Where are you taking me?" This time, the answer comes quickly. "Escape." "Are we getting closer?" I ask. "Yes." I take a deep breath and forge ahead, but I feel a creeping dread infiltrate my senses. The longer I walk down hallways and infinite staircases, the closer I seem to be getting to something that fills me with fear. I can't explain it. It's clear I'm going underground. The lights are growing dimmer as I go. The halls are beginning to narrow. The windows and staircases are beginning to disappear. And I know I'm only getting closer to the bowels of the building when the walls change. Gone are the smooth, finished white walls of the upper floors. Here, everything is unfinished cement. It smells cold and wet, earthy. The lights buzz and hum, occasionally snapping. Fear continues to pulse up my spine. I shuffle down a slight slope, my shoes slipping a little as I go. My lungs squeeze. My heartbeat feels loud, too loud, and a strange sensation begins to fill my arms and legs. Feeling. Too much feeling. It makes my skin crawl, makes my bones itch. I feel suddenly restless and anxious. And just as I'm about to lose hope in this crazy, meandering escape route, here, I stop. I'm standing in front of a massive stone door. My heart is racing in my throat. I hesitate, fear beginning to fissure my certainty. Open. Who are you? I ask again, this time speaking out loud. This doesn't look like an escape route. Open. I squeeze my eyes shut, fill my lungs with air. I came all this way, I tell myself. I have no options at the moment. I may as well see it through. But when I open the door, I realize it's only the first of several. Wherever I'm headed is protected by multiple layers of security. The mechanisms required to open each door are baffling. There are no knobs or handles, no traditional hinges, but all I have to do is touch the door for it to swing open. It's too easy. Finally, I'm standing in front of a steel wall. There's nothing here to indicate there might be a room beyond. Touch. Tentatively, I touch my fingers to the metal. More. I press my whole hand firmly against the door, and within seconds, the wall melts away. I look around nervously and step forward. Immediately, I know I've been led astray. I feel sick as I look around, sick and terrified. This place is so far from an escape, I almost can't believe I fell for it. I'm in a laboratory. Another laboratory. Panic collapses something inside me, bones and organs knocking together, blood rushing to my head. I run for the door and it seals shut, the steel wall forming easily as if from air. I pull in a few sharp breaths, begging myself to stay calm. Show yourself! I shout. Who are you? What do you want with me? Help. My heart shudders to a stop. I feel my fear expand and contract. Dying. Goosebumps rise along my skin. My breath catches, my fists clench. I take a step farther into the room and then a few more. I'm still worried this is all yet another part of the trick. Then I see it. A glass cylinder as tall and wide as the wall, filled to the hilt with water. There's a creature floating inside it. Something greater than fear is driving me forward, greater than curiosity, greater than wonder. Feeling washes over me. Memories crash into me. A spindly arm reaches through the murky water, shaky fingers forming a loose fist that pounds weakly against the glass. At first, all I see is her hand. But the closer I get, the more clearly I'm able to see what they've done to her. And I can't hide my horror. She inches closer to the glass and I catch sight of her face. She no longer has a face, not really. Her mouth has been permanently sealed around a rectangular skin spider webbing over silicone. Her hair is a couple feet long, dark and wild and floating around her head like wispy tentacles. Her nose has melted backward into her skull and her eyes are permanently closed. Long, dark lashes the only indication they ever used to open. Her hands and feet are webbed. She has no fingernails. Her arms and legs are mostly bone and sagging, wrinkled skin. Emmeline, I whisper. Dying. The tears come hot and fast, hitting me without warning, breaking me from within. What did they do to you? I say, my voice ragged. How could they do this to you? A dull, metallic sound. Twice. Emmeline is floating closer. She presses her webbed fingers against the barrier between us, and I reach up, hastily wiping my eyes before I meet her there. I press my palm to the glass, and somehow, impossibly, I feel her take my hand. Soft, warm, strong. And then, with a gasp, Feeling pulses through me, wave after wave of feeling. Emotions as infinite as time, memories, desires, long extinguished hopes and dreams. The force of everything sends my head spinning. I slump forward and grit my teeth, steadying myself by pressing my forehead against the barrier between us. Images fill my mind like stilted frames from an old movie. Emmeline's life. She wants me to know. I feel like I'm being pulled into her, like she's reeling me into her own body, immersing me in her mind, her memories. I see her younger, much younger, 8 or 9 years old. She was spirited, furious, difficult to control. Her mind was stronger than she could have handled, and she didn't know how to feel about her powers. She felt cursed, strangled by them. But unlike me, she was kept at home, here, in this exact laboratory, forced to undergo test after test administered by her own parents. I feel her rage pierce through me. For the first time, I realize I had the luxury of forgetting. She didn't. Max and Evie, and even Anderson, tried to wipe Emmeline's memory multiple times, but each time, Emmeline's body prevailed. Her mind was so strong that she was able to convince her brain to reverse the chemistry meant to dissolve her memories. No matter what Max and Evie tried, Emmeline could never forget them. Instead, she watched as her own parents turned on her. Turned her inside out. Emmeline is telling me everything without saying a word. She can't speak. She's lost 4 of her 5 senses. She went blind first. She lost her sense of smell and sensation a year later, both at the same time. Finally, she lost the ability to speak. Her tongue and teeth disintegrated. Her vocal cords eroded. Her mouth sealed permanently shut. She can only hear now, but poorly. I see the scenes change, see her grow a little older, a little more broken. I see the fire go out of her eyes, and then, when she realizes what they have planned for her, the entire reason they wanted her so desperately, violent horror takes my breath away. I fall, kneecaps knocking the floor. The force of her feelings rips me open. Sobs break my back, shudder through my bones. I feel everything. Her pain, her endless pain. Her inability to end her own suffering. She wants this to end. End, she says, the word sharp and explosive. With some effort, I manage to lift my head to look at her. Was it you the whole time? I whisper. Did you give me back my memories? Yes. How? Why? She shows me. I feel my spine straighten as the vision moves through me. I see Evie and Max, hear their warped conversations from inside the glass prison. They've been trying to make Emmeline stronger over the years, trying to find ways to enhance Emmeline's telekinetic abilities. They wanted her skills to evolve. They wanted her to be able to perform mind control of the masses. It backfired. The more they experimented on her, the further they pushed her, the stronger and weaker she became. Her mind was able to handle the physical manipulations, but her heart couldn't take it. Even as they built her up, they were breaking her down. She'd lost the will to live, to fight. She no longer had complete control over her own body. Even her powers were now regulated through Max and Evie. She'd become a puppet, and the more listless she became, the more they misunderstood. Max and Evie thought Emmeline was growing compliant. Instead, she was deteriorating. And then, another scene. Emmeline hears an argument. Max and Evie are discussing me. Emmeline hasn't heard them mention me in years. She had no idea I was still alive. She hears that I've been fighting back, that I've been resisting, that I tried to kill the Supreme Commander. Emmeline feels hope for the first time in years. I clasp a hand over my mouth. Take a step back. Emmeline has no eyes, but I feel her staring at me, watching me for a reaction. I feel unsteady, alert but overcome. I finally understand. Emmeline has been using her last gasp of strength to contact me, and not just me but all the other children of the Supreme Commanders. She shows me inside my own mind how she's taken advantage of Max and Evie's latest effort to expand her capabilities. She's never been able to reach out to people individually before, but Max and Evie got greedy. And Emmeline, they laid the foundation for their own demise. Emmeline thinks we're the last hope for the world. She wants us to stand up, fight, save humanity. She's been slowly returning our minds to us, giving back what our parents once stole. She wants us to see the truth. "Help," she says. "I will," I whisper. "I promise I will, but I'm going to get you out of here." Rage, hot and violent, sends me reeling. Emmeline's anger is sharp and terrifying, and a resounding "No" fills my brain. I go still, confused. "What do you mean?" I say. "I have to get you out of here. We'll escape together. I have friends, healers who can restore—" "No." And then, in a flash, she fills my mind with an image so dark I think I might be sick. "No," I say, my voice shaking. "I won't do it. I'm not going to kill you." Anger. Hot, ferocious anger attacks my mind. Image after image assaults me. Her failed suicide attempts, her inability to turn her own powers against herself, the infinite fail-safes Max and Evie put in place to make sure Emmeline couldn't take her own life, and that she couldn't harm theirs. "Emmeline, please." "Help." "There has to be another way," I say desperately. "This can't be it. You don't have to die. We can get through this together." She bangs her open palm against the glass. Tremors rock her emaciated body. "Already dying." I step forward, press my hands to her prison. "It wasn't supposed to end like this," I say, the words broken. "There has to be another way, please. I want my sister back. I want you to live." More anger, hot and wild, begins to bloom in my mind, and then a spike of fear. Emmeline goes rigid in her tank. "Coming." I look around, steeling myself. Adrenaline spikes in my veins. "Wait." Emmeline has wrapped her arms around her body, her face pinched in concentration. I can still feel her, with an immediacy so intimate it feels almost like her thoughts are my own. And then, unexpectedly, my shackles pop open. I spin around as they fall to the floor with a rich clatter. I rub at my aching wrists, my ankles. "How did you—" "Coming." I nod. "Whatever happens today," I whisper, "I'm coming back for you. This isn't over. Do you hear me, Emmeline? I won't let you die here." For the first time, Emmeline seems to relax. Something warm and sweet fills my head, affection so unexpected it pricks my eyes. I fight back the emotion. Footsteps. Fear has fled my body. I feel unusually calm. I'm stronger than I've ever been. There's strength in my bones, strength in my mind, and now that the cuffs are off, my powers are back on and a familiar feeling is surging through me. It's like being joined by an old friend. I meet Evie's eyes as she walks through the door. She's already pointing a gun at me. Not a gun, something that looks like a gun. I don't know what's in it. "What are you doing in here?" she says, her voice only slightly hysterical. "What have you done?" I shake my head. I can't look at her face anymore without feeling blind rage. I can't even think her name without feeling a violent, potent, animalistic need to murder her with my bare hands. Evie Somers is the worst kind of human being. A traitor to humanity. An unadulterated sociopath. "What have you done?" she says again, this time betraying her fear, her panic. The gun trembles in her fist. Her eyes are wide, crazed, darting from me to Emmeline, still trapped in the tank behind me. And then I see it. The moment she realizes I'm not wearing my manacles. Evie goes pale. "I haven't done anything," I say softly. "Not yet." Her gun falls with a clatter to the floor. Unlike Paris, my mother isn't stupid. She knows there's no point trying to shoot me. She created me. She knows what I'm capable of, and she knows I can see it in her eyes. She knows I'm about to kill her, and she knows there's nothing she can do to stop it. Still, she tries. "Ella," she says, her voice unsteady. "Everything we did, everything we've ever done, was to try to help you. We were trying to save the world, you have to understand." I take a step forward. "I do understand." "I just wanted to make the world a better place," she says. "Don't you want to make the world a better place?" "Yes," I say. "I do." She almost smiles. A small, broken breath escapes her body. Relief. I take 2 swift, running steps and punch her through the chest, ribs breaking under my knuckles. Her eyes widen and she chokes, staring at me in stunned, paralyzed silence. She coughs and blood splatters hot and thick across my face. I turn away, spitting her blood out of my mouth, and by the time I look back, she's dead. With one more tug, I rip her heart out of her body. Evie falls to the floor with a heavy thud, her eyes cold and glassy. I'm still holding my mother's heart, watching it die in my hands, when a familiar voice calls out to me. "Thank you, thank you, thank you."